Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast for the Critérium du Dauphiné, Stage 4 TT from Montbrison to La Bâtie d'Elfay, 32 kilometers long, the longest TT I feel like we've covered in quite a while in a stage race. Like the Giro ones were pretty inconsequential, and this had little elevation. It was a fast TT, sort of 53, close to 54 kilometers an hour average for the winner with two intermediate time checks. About 12 minutes in and 23 minutes in. So it'd be about a 35-minute TT for the best all up. But as always, this show is brought to you by our show partners, Zwift, the online cycling platform that makes training fun. Maybe if you're in the Southern Hemisphere going into winter, Zwift is the perfect training companion to keep on top of those fitness goals, as well as some base winter training to complement maybe your outdoor rides to keep things interesting. If you want to check it out, you can go to Zwift.com for a free 7-day trial down below. But Wout van Aert, disappointment yesterday, disappointment the day before when they didn't catch Viermos. He was in the leader's jersey going into the stage. Remember, Filippo Ganna on the climb yesterday didn't even try to hang on. Maybe that made the difference today because Ganna wins the TT by 2 seconds, which is nothing over 35 minutes ahead of Wout van Aert. Hayter, very nice, third on 17 seconds. Ineos 2 on the podium. Catania fourth on 39 seconds. Roglic fifth. I had him for pushing top 3, 42 seconds back. Durbridge, very nice top 6, 53 seconds. That bike exchange setup is quick. Jonas 7th, 112. Caruso 8th, 125. Gegenhardt 9th, 131, his best TT in a while. And Ayuso 10th, 134. I'll go through the rest of the GC guys in a second, but just Ganna wins again, Benji. And I wonder how much the organizer's skin suit and that rest yesterday made the difference.
Yes, and not only that, I feel like there were plenty of things that could have influenced today's race between Ganna and Wout van Aert here, because Ganna started so early. He starts with riders every minute ahead of him, for example, but he also apparently had better wind conditions. And in Wout van Aert's time trial, there were also rainy parts towards the end of his time trial. So all that can influence this race of both riders. Wout had two riders that he passed during the time trial, which was Lafay and, well, technically one rider that he passed, and he tried to pass Godu, but Godu was too strong for that today. But that's all an influence on these time trials, and it's going to be impossible to calculate what was the indicator, what was the part that made Ganna win this over Van Aert. But I feel like it's pretty obvious that Van Aert started very strong, getting 10 seconds ahead of Ganna at the first time check. The second time check, he lost a lot. Like, was it 22 seconds swing to then be 10 seconds behind?
Yeah, so from 12 minutes to 23 minutes in, Van Aert lost 22 seconds. That was in no small part due to Ganna's, I'm trying to bring out the split. He did a really fast T1 to T2, like disproportionately fast. Hayter as well. Hayter's T2 to finish was the best, but Ganna did 10:54 in that slower, quote unquote, slower section. It was 51 k's an hour. He clearly did the most power there in that section. And Van Aert, he lost 21 seconds, yes, just in that section to him. So interesting pacing strategies because, yeah, at T1, Van Aert went 11 seconds quicker. So Hayter as well. As I said, I'm trying to bring up Hayter's T2 to the finish, 4 seconds quicker than Van Aert. Van Aert then took 9 seconds back on Ganna in the T2 to the finish, which was the fastest section. So I know Bigham works he did work as or some consultancy work with Jumbo-Visma in the past. He's now at Ineos as a consultant or almost like employed staff. And I presume he's helping out with the pacing strategies, etc., related to the TT. And yeah, even Gegenhardt's performance today was much better than I expected. That's a really good TT. But yeah, bit of rain for Van Aert. We didn't see Ganna. It was before live coverage started. I presume he had plenty of Minutemen. Van Aert certainly had plenty of Minutemen he was catching in the final. He didn't catch Gudu at the end. But it's the Jumbo-Visma fan, you might want to close your ears for this bit. But it's been a tough 3 days for Jumbo. They don't catch Viermos. he wins and goes into yellow. Van Aert wins the reduced bunch sprint after they pace too late. They pace yesterday on maybe a stage that suits Roglic. Van Aert comes second, but takes yellow, and maybe that yellow jersey was just 2-3 seconds slower today, causing him to come second. Maybe not. I mean, people said they're improved now, but I don't know. Like, do Jumbo-Visma custom fit Roglic and Van Aert and Jonas with the whatever the ASO skin suit is in advance? That would make sense to me. But what about the GC guys, Benji? Who do you like? This is a good opportunity before the tour. We can look at who's improved their TT, who hasn't. I think for the Tour de France, I think O'Connor's was really quite good.
Yeah, I think O'Connor did a great time trial as well for his standards compared to the ones he did before. Gegenhardt as well, you mentioned it. That's one I didn't expect to be that good in this time trial. He has a great time trial here, and it's the last portion that is his strongest side of the time trial here. I'm also intrigued by Caruso. Caruso always has been a pretty good time trialist, and usually in the third week time trials, he does even better, like the Verona third week Giro time trial. That's the stuff where he would shine and potentially get a top 5 at the end, but I'm curious what he can do as like a rider that is set to be going to the Tour de France. Haig is set to be going to the Tour de France. What that combination is going to be like in that race, I don't know. But Haig is clearly not the greatest time trialist in the world. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a thorn for him. You think, I mean, Mas, where did he put into today? 7 seconds or so? No, 12 seconds. Mas put into him, then O'Connor, as you said, top 10. That makes, oh no, where did O'Connor come on the stage? 14th, 146. Just like a competent TT, that's 20 seconds, and that matters a lot in a 1 week race. Going to the revised GC now. Van Aert, still in yellow, obviously. Now a much bigger gap. 53 seconds out of Catania. We'll talk about with Catania what he can do here. Roglic, 56 seconds. Jonas on 126. So Jumbo-Visma are 134 right now. Hayter on 126.2. The other teams, GC contenders for Bahrain, Caruso on 139. So that's, let me do some quick maths, 43 seconds behind Roglic. Gegenhardt's best part of 50 seconds behind him. Jorgensen nearly a minute. O'Connor over a minute. And Mas a minute 10. So that's a lot for the mountain stage coming up. I mean, this wasn't Roglic's best TT, Benji. Like, what would the odds have been on Catania beating Roglic head to head in a TT like this?
Well, to be honest, like Catania in last year had good time trials. It's just that Catania this year has had pretty terrible rides the entire season, and it's kind of the first race now that he has good results again this year. So this year, I would never have expected to get Catania ahead of Roglic on a time trial like this. In a year like last year, it was at least possible for that to occur. But I surely expected Roglic to do better in Catania, but I would have expected him to get roughly 4th or so on this time trial. I personally had Hayter, Van Aert, and Ganna all 3 ahead of him, but that might just be me. Or did you expect Roglic to actually top 3 here?
I thought he could push Hayter, but then he really does prefer the hillier ones, doesn't he? Like the
Yeah.
Olympics, he beat the pure TT guys, Ganna, Kung, Wout van Aert, Dennis, Dumoulin. He destroyed all of them. That obviously had a lot of climbing. And the TTs he sort of really likes is the one in the final proper stage of the tour, stage 20, which is 41 Ks and has like, it finishes with a 1500 meter 8% climb. Maybe actually that's a bit too much because you got to get out of the extensions. It's like rolling hills. I think that's much better for him and his punchy style. But yeah, it's a little bit less than
Hmm.
what I expected from him. But at the end of the day, he's still like a minute ahead of everybody else. So
Yeah,
like, and I think he was taking it easy in those chicanes. Jonas was going way quicker through there than he was.
yeah, certainly, I agree there. And in all honesty, when Roglic's time came up, I thought it was a pretty on par time trial for what I expected from Roglic here. I'm not going to say that I expected more or less from him on this time trial. So perhaps that's just my expectations that were off in that sense. When it comes to Jonas, it's good to see that his time trials are getting better again because they were pretty terrible at some point during Tirreno or something. And now it feels like it's a bit better already and that he's closing up closer to that Roglic time trial again. I'm shocked by the fact that Durbridge is that close in this time trial. I don't know why, but I did not expect him to be up there, definitely. But I got a message
Bike
from the
exchange setup.
yeah, that's true. They've been on point. You're right. And the Hungarian Eurosport commentator we had on the podcast a few months ago during the Giro, he texted us last night. Yeah, he's gonna top 5. I can feel it. And yeah, he was 6th, so he was wrong.
You're close, Danny. You're close, but no cigar. Sobrero won the Giro last TT. Yates won the first Giro TT. And now Durbridge 6th. They clearly have a fast setup. And it is the haves and have-nots. I sort of got another comment on YouTube the other day, or was on the podcast, maybe, can't remember. And I was saying, why do you talk about equipment? It's not that big a difference. It really is.
Yeah.
It really does make a big difference. 20 seconds is a lot. And if Gegenhardt's on Bahrain, he ain't coming top 10 in this TT. Like, it's not happening. And if Catania's not on the Shiv, he's not beating Roglic in this TT either. Like, these are just, well, they're not facts because it's literally speculation, but in my mind, they are facts.
But I do also want to add that, for example, when it comes to Matteo Jorgensen, same story, he's on Movistar equipment, he's getting 11th there. Like, he starts his time trial and he must know beforehand that he's got like a bit of a disadvantage compared to the other competition in that sense. And I often feel like, do you think that hurts riders mentally before a time trial like this, that they know their equipment might be worse than the opposition?
Yeah, it must be so demoralizing knowing you're wearing a helmet that is slower, knowing that Alpecin Phoenix, when they really care and want MVDP to do well, they share the same helmet manufacturer, Movistar and Alpecin. They throw MVDPs in the bin and they get a white labeled laser, the one that Jumbo-Visma wear, and MVDP wears that. But Movistar don't let their riders do that. So Enric Mas trying to go for GT's top 3 podiums in Grand Tours isn't allowed to wear a quicker helmet, but MVDP can on Alpecin because it's MVDP and he does what he wants. So it does matter.
Yeah, and I also want to mention that I feel like there's 2 riders in that top 12 in this stage that I also other youngsters, like Steimler is not necessarily a youngster anymore. Like, he's now 26, but I didn't expect him to top 12 this time trial, for example. I actually don't even remember him doing that amazing in the longer time trials before, but I might be wrong in that. I remember him from the prologues, the 11K time trials, stuff like that. So it's good to see that he gets up there as well. But Ayuso as well. This guy's still 19, This guy stopped 10ing this time trial. He got 8th and 10th at the time trial and prologue of Romandy. I feel like this man is showing every single race that he rides that he's getting, like, honestly, good results for a 19-year-old, to the point where this man in 2-3 years, that's going to be insane.
Yeah, he's, as you know, my Twitter account is an official Ayuso Stan account, free Ayuso always. He's legit good. I worry about the pure climbing, but he's 19, as you said. We'll see about that on the weekend. With 11Ks, 9% to come, but top 10 in World Tour TT like this with Ganna, Wout van Aert, Roglic, Jonas all in the top 5, and Hayter's legit elite time trialist. That's a very, very nice result indeed. His teammate, we should mention, Brandon McNulty, was hopped a curb and I think rear flatted or something. And then they tried to fix the bike. He had to stop and they couldn't fix the bike. And then you could see him just being like, oh no. And it was the longest bike change ever. They eventually changed the bike, but his TT was absolutely done. Where did he come in the end? McNulty, 30 seconds. So obviously, normally McNulty would top 10 this easily. And yeah, yeah, he's out of GC completely. We should say, wow, but not 56 seconds out of Roglic, Benji. Do Jumbo-Visma ride for him for GC?
I mentioned it yesterday, and the answer of you was no. So I'm going to suggest that we keep ourselves with that answer, because on paper this means that Cataneo is now, outside of Van Aert, the first rider in GC, 3 seconds ahead of Roglic, and then Vingegaard is like just behind Roglic already. Jumbo-Visma is like 3 riders of the top 4 in GC. So I think that they could easily focus on Roglic and Vingegaard and not have Van Aert destroy himself in the next couple of days to try and hunt for this. and they would still be pretty safe of winning GC like this. Like, they would have to do a lot wrong to lose right now this race.
I mean, anything can happen. Critérium du Dauphiné 2020 crash on a descent where it was gravelly, ended Bookman's 2020, and Roglic, he wasn't the same at the Tour. Paris-Nice
Finger
last
go.
year. What
Like,
about
they've
him?
got multiple options, you know? Like, they'd have to all crash out for that to occur.
Yeah, but if you both have a bad day on that mountaintop finish and Muss is flying or O'Connor, you're fucked. There's nothing you can do. That's the problem. So I don't know. It's not a minute 30. It is, well, it's nearly a minute 30 on Muss. Tomorrow, this is what I want to discuss though. You look at tomorrow's stage, it's got two 4K climbs at 5 and 7% back to back. Then Rolly Hills. It's a light medium mountain stage. Not even medium mountain. That's a bit strong to call it that. Then 2.6K is 4%. Then 1.8K is 5.6%. Descent, 163Ks at the finish. So that's about 14Ks from the finish. Last climb, sprint finish. What are Jumbo going to do? But I should say the staging gap is basically the same. It's a hilly sort of stage, same finish. Like, they have to go for. Are they going to go for Van Aert sprints again? Like, or what?
Well, we've seen on multiple occasions that the initial part of the stage was not controlled by Jumbo itself. I feel like for them to go for this stage, it indeed would have to be controlled by someone else initially, because I don't think their team is made to control a breakaway from the start, because they have too many GC riders in their squad to make that a thing, to work that much for Wout just at the start of a sprint stage. So for them to be able to win the stage, I need another team to actually see them controlling, like, instead of Jumbo, to make sure that Jumbo can kick in later and then go for it. But it kind of depends on what they decide, you know, because we've seen stages where they did not take control in the final leader and then they were too late when it mattered. So I'm going to go for Cavagna winning with a late attack and Van Aert coming second again.
When was the last time Cavagnar's attack, one of those,
Actually worked.
succeeded? Yeah.
Been a while, eh?
I remember the Catalunya one he tried. There's a stage, maybe Sagan one, but yeah, he surely will. Same with Honore, same with Baggioli, and that's the thing. Like, if you want to win, like Wout's had 3 chances now. If you want to win GC, if Wout wasn't here, let's take a hypothetical. Wout's not here. Catania's or Ganna's in the yellow jersey, or even Roglic isn't. Say Roglic is in the yellow jersey, and you're Jumbo-Visma tomorrow. You let the break win, 100%,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%. Because yeah, like there's no need to catch the breakaway then, unless there's someone dangerous in it, and that will likely not be the case.
And to gap, you let the break win, and the next day you let the break win, and you just conserve for the mountaintop finish. That's what UAE do, and that's the difficulty with having, I think, multiple options. Sometimes an embarrassment of riches can be not well. It can be a bit of a burden because you're so incentivized to. Yeah, we could win this stage. We could win every stage. But yeah, I'll be interested to see what happens tomorrow. Otherwise, the women's tour stage 3 was also on today from Tewkesbury to Gloucester, 108 k's long. I did think this might be a little bit difficult for Lorena Vivas. She doesn't climb that well on the longer climbs, although she did do well on the Vanberg in, I think, maybe Ronde van Drenthe, but this is a bit harder than that. They do multiple reps of like 2.8Ks, 5.6%, 2K, 6%, 1.3K, 7%, but they crested 28Ks from the finish. I did think there'd be other teams will be able to put her under pressure. Incorrect. The DSM lead out with Fiver Georgienko once again just way too good, and Vibers wins by bike lengths. Wearing the she wasn't in the leaders jersey; she was in the points jersey.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I don't know what jersey she was in. She was in a pink jersey, and she wins easily ahead of Alexandra Manley, who's on Bike Exchange Jayco. She is 26, but is seemed to be in absolutely purple patch of form. She won like 4 stages at the Thuringen Ladies Tour. Lebecki 3rd, Basoit 4th, Longoborghini 5th, Confolonieri 6th, Duval 7th, Numanova 8th, Gasquien 9th, and Borghese 10th. But who can stop Vibers, Benji? What odds should she be for the Champs-Élysées opener for the TDF?
Well, for that race, probably very low odds. But I feel like today they could have done things differently against her because there were multiple situations when the race opened up on that speech house climb where they actually put pressure on Wiebes, where she wasn't even in the group for multiple times. But every single time they came to a situation where the groups did not work together. And that's not how you keep Wiebes behind. So either the teams that are in that group, which were larger groups, by the way, need to actively invest in keeping Wiebes behind, or they should just give up because like what's the point then if you don't try anything when she's actually behind to keep her behind, then you're just going to end up sprinting against her at the finish line, which is exactly what happens today. So I think there were definitely situations today where other teams could have done something with the groups they were in and therefore could have gotten advantage over Ribas, and she might not have gone back to that group and she might not have been able to sprint at the end of today's stage for the victory. But I feel like it's simple. If you go to the finish line with Rebus and the finish stretch is not dangerous enough by the organizers to cause a crash that could actually hinder Wibbers, then you're going to end up losing against Wibbers. And if you want to win, then you're going to have to do something beforehand to try and drop her. So I feel like other teams should just attack her more. Like, there were not an endless amount of DSM riders still in the peloton, in my opinion. So, yeah, I feel like other teams messed up today.
And tomorrow's a similar opportunity. Like, it's a very, very similar stage, but with later climbs, but not as steep. 13Ks, 10Ks from the finish, from Wrexham to Welshpool. It's kind of weird reading out non-continental European finish names. I have to engage a different part of my brain. But yeah, it's another opportunity to try and drop Lorena Wiebes. I would suggest, as Benji said, that would be a very good idea. And if you just go to the finish with her, like say Elisa Longoborghini or Trek, like that's that's got to be their best chance of winning. They have a fairly decent team here with Cordon Rago, Backstedt, Hansen, Van Dyke, and Longoborghini, but they've probably ridden for Hosking a little bit. I would say they should just fully light up those climbs if they can. Same with Canyon Shram with Shabby and Navia Doma. That's going to give them a better chance, I think, than winning with Barnes or Basoit. Maybe they can all pace and drop Vivas. I don't know. But that'll be a good stage tomorrow. One would think it finishes earlier than the Dauphiné usually, so you can go back to back with those two stages. That's all from us today. We'll be back with maybe a break. Maybe Jumbo-Visma will pace. We're not sure entirely. Maybe Hayter will get one over. Maybe Ineos will pace hard. Who knows? They're getting better and better throughout this race, winning the stage today at the Dauphiné. We'll see you with the recap of that tomorrow. Ciao.